What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Action Network podcast. I am your host, Chris Raybon, and I'm joined by the Prime Minister of Degenerate Nation, my guy Stuckey. We are going to break down team by team the NFC South and the NFC East, and then next episode we'll do part 2 with the other 2 divisions. But Stuck, how you feeling?
Hour 3, let's keep it rolling, baby. NFC.
There you go. And as I mentioned, we'll jump right into the NFC. Let's go South first. Let's go Tampa Bay. I think this team is at risk with the departure of Liam Cohen, but what do you think about all the injuries and at wide receiver, the departure of Cohen for this offense, and then the defense kind of being more of the same? Is this team still the cream of the crop in the NFC South, which is not a high bar?
Yeah, they're I have them as a favorite to win the division, but not overwhelmingly. But it helps when the Panthers and the Saints are in the division. But I think I want to fade the Bucs. I faded them last year. I was wrong. Baker was great with Cohen. And one thing I did mention in our preseason, I said Bucky Irving could really provide them a boost, and he did. I mean, he was enormous, gave them much more balance, and was so good across the board. But the defense, I'm still not a believer in, especially on the back end. They didn't do much to address it. And look, they went 3-5 in one-possession games, but if you dig deeper, they did really, really benefit for how the schedule broke for them. They faced Rattler twice, O'Connell, Rush, Ritter, DeVito, the Eagles without all of their receivers. They faced Jaden Daniels in his first ever start on the road in week 1. They against Detroit, they were outgained by $1 billion and somehow won that game. And if you look, what was their the really impressive win without caveats was the Chargers game. That was basically it. But yeah, I want to sell the Bucs. I'm not sure how I want to do it yet. I mean, I project them a 9-2. Schedule's easy. So
9.5 is the win total, by the way.
So I don't show a ton of value from a numbers perspective. And then you mentioned the injuries. You lost Cohen, and then Godwin, McMillan. How about Tristan Wirfs?
Yeah,
he won't be available. One of the best tackles in the NFL early in the season. So, yeah, I'm not buying the Bucs. A lot of people are just betting the Bucs to win the division at even money. No, thank you. So I kind of want to bet the Falcons to win the division. And one of the things worth mentioning is the Bucs with all these injuries without Cohen. The Falcons host the Bucs week 1. The Falcons also go to Minnesota, who has some injury concerns and suspensions week 2. But with the Falcons, they really need their offense. They're basically running it back with Penix. And I like some of what I saw from Penix last year, but he played really bad defenses. So we'll see. But it can't be worse than Cousins, who was hurt and it looked like he was throwing games. That's how hurt he was. That Chargers game I'll never get over. But if Cousins is healthy, their backup quarterback situation at least is okay. I still disagree with how they're building and what they did with that whole situation. But the Falcons, they're running it back with Penix on offense. The one change is their center, who you lose Dahlman. Noisiel is going to start. He did start for Dahlman last year. It is a drop-off, but he did get experience last year when Dahlman got hurt. Their offensive line still should be good. The wide receivers are good enough. You have Bijan, but they all got to stay healthy because the depth is not there.
Yeah.
And McGarry's now hurt, their right tackle. And who is that? Who is it going to be? Is it Elijah Wilkinson maybe? Storm Norton? If Storm Norton, I can't bet a team with Storm Norton as the starting tackle. So now the Falcons have injury questions early on in the season. The defense, it's basically, look, they lost Judon and Jarrett. Jarrett is the bigger loss. They need Ruke to step up at defensive tackle. But can they improve the pass rush? And they tried to do that. They bring in Floyd. They draft Pierce. They draft Walker. That's the key, I think, to this team. Because they need a pass rush to get off the field on third downs, which they're never able to do. Their secondary, I think is good enough if they can get some more pressure, like in this division, to get to like 9-10 wins. But they need to get more pressure. Did they solve it? We'll see. Still a TBD there. The defense still isn't going to be great, but if they can get more pressure, that'll go a long way. It is an easy schedule. And it ended up being harder than expected last year. Like they finished like 19th, 20th, and usually in this division, like I had them projected with a bottom, one of the 3 easiest schedules in the NFL. So their schedule ended up being harder than expected. It should be easier this year. I had them favored in 8 games, but I only have them dogs of more than a field goal 3 times. And that's at the Vikings. And we just mentioned the Vikings have some questions with a rookie quarterback, some suspensions, maybe some injuries. That's week 2. Home against the Bills. That's at home off of bye. And then at San Fran, which is probably a loss, but who knows who's left on that roster with all the injuries that San Francisco is dealing with. And they get Tampa at home week 1, who's dealing with some injuries. So there's a lot of things to like with this schedule. I would like to see, can Xavier Watts be the guy at safety? That would go a long way. But this McGarry injury, I think, is not being talked about enough. But they stayed healthy last year. But although the Cousins injury was killer, and I worry about the health this year because the depth is really rough at some positions, and it's already going to show at right tackle. But I'm leaning betting the Falcons to win the division. Even though I'm close to market on the Bucs, I kind of can see a fall off this year.
Yeah, I think the Falcons, just based on the price, the Falcons make the most sense because the Bucs are minus 115 or around even money, depending where you look. The Falcons are plus 230 to plus 250. I think that's the better value. I think the Panthers are still shaky. Like Penix. Now the line is a concern because I do think it'd be ideal for him to have time so he can go downfield, and I think that's how you really unlock London and Darnell Mooney. But you are hearing maybe this is the year for Pitts. I mean, him and Penix have apparently developed a friendship, so maybe they get more out of him. Bijan, you got Algier behind him, so you got like some guys at the skill positions. If the O line is,
but if any receiver gets hurt, who's next up?
You probably got Hodge, who's just he's kind of a special teams guy. Though he had a couple moments last year, and then
if they lose London,
Washington, I hear, is having a good camp. Yeah,
bleak.
Yeah, it could be tough. But
who's the backup tight end? I don't even know who the backup tight end is.
For who? The Falcons?
Yeah,
Warner. He was playing. He's like their inline guy because Pitts, he'll be in the slot most often. In 2 tight end sets, anyway.
I thought it was my guy Quatoriano or whatever his name is.
Tegan Quatoriano.
Yeah,
he's 3rd on the depth chart. But no, Warner, they signed him to a pretty substantial deal, I think, last year. So yeah, he's still there. But the thing about the Bucs that it's always challenging is, I do think the Bucs, what goes under the radar with them, I really like how their team. GM wise, I like what they've done with kind of replenishing the talent. Like when they had Tom Brady and they were going all in for those Super Bowls, and they won one, and then you figured there was going to be a drop off.
Yeah, they were really old. They had a really old roster.
Yeah, exactly. And you figured there was going to be some drop off, and they've kind of Jason White has pieced it together where he's held on to the right amount of veterans and still managed to, inject them with like Bucky Irving, for example. Emeka Egbuka is already looking a lot more important than he was when he was drafted. I mean, you're going to be without Godwin and McMillan, but you only got, 7 games out of Godwin last year, and you still did what you did, and you didn't have Egbuka last year. So he just kind of replaces what you would get out of McMillan. So like did this team really fall off, or are we just nitpicking? And then how big a cone is a factor? How big of losing cone is a factor? Because I think that is big. Yeah. I
Plus, like I mentioned last year, I think the Falcons' schedule was harder than expected. The Bucs was easier than expected because of all the backup quarterbacks they got to face, and then like teams being injured. And they only won 10 games, and the Falcons won 8. They were right there. And you had like Cousins throwing games because he was so injured. So I don't think there's that big of a gap between the Bucs and the Falcons. So yeah, I think north of $2, you got a Falcons to win the division is the play.
What about the Panthers? Panthers, is Bryce Young the guy from the first half of the season, or is he the guy that played respectably and dropped some better throws that were not even hauled in down the stretch? Is he that guy for a full year, or is it still kind of up in the air?
It's probably somewhere in between, but I liked what I saw. He just looked a lot more comfortable, and just from an eye test perspective, I think that he can carry some of that momentum over. Doesn't necessarily mean that he will, but the offense should be decent. Like, you added McMillan to improve the wide receiver room. Thielen might get moved, by the way. Looks like
I'm hearing that.
Looks like the Vikings, I think, and that's one of the reasons maybe they dumped off the salary of to the Jets of what's his name, Phillips. So I mean, because they're all hurt. Like, Addison is out the first 3 weeks. Rager's hurt. Jefferson did just come back, but I could see them adding a receiver. But so you add Tet to a receiver room that's pretty deep. You add Dowdle to the running back room. The offensive line stays intact. I think it's an above average group.
That's big. That's big.
Yeah.
A lot of continuity, and it's above it, and it's a good unit.
Yeah, and if I think Lewis just came back, or is he hurt? Yeah, I think he just came back.
Yeah, he's been dealing with a shoulder, but he should be good to go. Yeah.
And yeah, the injury watch there are Tremble and Lewis that I have noted here for week 1. I think they'll be back, but we'll see. But the offense should be good. Like, there's a chance to be an average to maybe slightly above average, especially if McMillan hits. The problem is the defense. Like, they're like the Bengals light. This is what the Panthers are. They were very injured last year. They didn't really do much to address anything. They got bigger along the defensive line. Maybe that'll help with the run defense, but they allowed 180 rush yards per game. It's the most since 1987. The special teams also could fall off. I'm worried about the special teams, but what is the path for this defense being good? Like, just better health, and
J.C. Horn intercepts a bunch of passes. He was in I think he's okay, but I think he was in a car accident, but he should be good to go. But yeah, its defense is on paper. Outside of, Brown will definitely improve that interior. And it was just horrible last year. But overall, there seems to be enough guys.
Yeah, like, they're getting Wanham back healthy will help a little bit. You had,
but other guys will get hurt, and it's not a deep defense.
Yeah. So, and they got bigger. Like, you added the other Brown. Like, but just look at this defense, man. It's really bad. So overs will probably be worth a look with the Panthers. It's just hard to see. And look, even with Bryce Young playing so well down the stretch, I know they lost some close games to some good teams, but they also won like a bunch of overtime games against teams that weren't that good. So yeah, I can't get there. Thankfully, the Panthers somehow on the last day found a way to go for me last year. This year, win totals come down a little bit from where it was. Like, with juice, it's like 6.75. I project 6.5. So slightly into the under, but it's a pass for me.
Yeah, I think this team is. You mentioned the offense could be good, but it's very fragile, I think, because Adam Thielen played a lot better than expected last year.
Yeah.
And he was a big part of what they did offensively. So if he's for some reason out of the picture, now you're relying on Tet, Coker, and Leggett, which on paper is like a good, nice young trio, but you're talking about Tet could be it's going to be a lot of contested balls that could go right or it could go very wrong. And as a rookie, new quarter, like it might not hit right off the bat.
If Thielen's gone, I'm saying the offense could be decent, assuming Tet hits, which is not a given.
Yeah, exactly. And then, Coker outplayed like he overachieved. Now he could just be better, better pro than was expected. But there's still, I think, a massive floor for this offense too, because Bryce Young, we've seen him up and down. I mean, the tight end room, even if Tremble was back, I mean, it's Tremble, Sanders, Evans. None of those guys exactly, inspires a ton of confidence. And then the backs tend to not be like Dowdle will probably pass block more than anything. Chuba, they try to get him a breather. They don't throw to him as much. So the passing game still could be shaky. I mean, Chuba he was great in the run game. The O-line will probably, that'll probably continue. But yeah, this passing game, I think, is kind of, it could go either way. It could be.
Yeah, they could be bad again.
Yeah.
Young could look, I did. So, like, I think the ceiling for the offense is like average.
Mm-hmm.
And then the defense is just going to be bad no matter what. So, like, you're not a good team. And the special teams could be bad.
I would lean under. Because you could get it juiced up, plus 110, things like that. I would lean under for the Panthers because I think it kind of peaked. The market kind of peaked on them, and now it's starting to come back down. But I'm with you. I think the Falcons are the best bet to win the division value wise. The Saints. Let's talk about the Saints. I mean, I find it interesting that everyone thinks they're going to be absolutely horrible. Now they could be, but I also think they could just be like a normal 6 to 8 win bad team. I like the fact that Kellen Moore is there. I don't think their quarterback situation is already priced in. I don't think their skill position guys are actually as bad. I just don't think the overall team is as bad as people had this bad taste in their mouths from Dennis Allen and Carr, and it just became a mess. But I actually think this team could be a little frisky. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I project them at 5, so would lean a little over. New staff here, getting rid of Allen is a positive. It's going to be a big shift schematically on defense, so we'll see. It's an aging defense in many parts, and you did lose Honey Badger. You brought in Justin Reed. Maybe that's a wash. The rest of the secondary, meh. But
corner, I mean, you lost Adebo.
Yeah. The defense
Lattimore last year. Yeah,
the defense could be like maybe average if they get some good schematic adjustments from Staley, but it's going to be a big switch just in what they do. Offensively, you're right in that I like some of their weapons, right? Assuming they stay healthy with Kamara, Olave, Shaheed. They just added Vele, who did some good things with the Broncos. Cooks is there. So Juwan Johnson, it hurts that Hill is out, but they have some interesting weapons. But the problem is, who's going to be the quarterback? Is it Chuck? Is it Rattler? And then does the offensive line work? Last year, like the offensive, you got to remember last year, beginning of the season, the offense looked really good. And then everyone got hurt, and it was a disaster because of this quarterback situation. I'm not sure Chuck solves that based on what I've seen so far.
Kellen Moore might to more of an extent, though. Kellen Moore.
Yeah, he could. But I think that Kubiak is good, and if he just had nothing to work with.
Fair.
And this offensive line, you need the young tackles to hit. So can Banks be the guy at left tackle? Fuaga be the guy at right tackle? And is Penning improved at left guard? So, like, there's some variance there that it could work, and it could be better. I think Penning definitely is a way better option at guard than he is at tackle. So you might have upgraded the offensive line, but it's still TBD. And the quarterback room, no two ways about it, it's really bad. But yeah, I don't disagree that they could potentially be undervalued in the market. But I project them at 5 wins, so I would lean over. I just really worry about the offensive line, what it's going to look like, and obviously the quarterback situation. But as you mentioned, that's very priced in to the market right now. I wouldn't hate someone that's just like, I'm buying low on 4.5.
It's usually profitable. It tends to be profitable, like with those
4.5
max
to 5 range. Yeah, they go over more times than not.
I think there's nothing but upside at 4.5 because you mentioned the O-line. Yeah, like Penning could be horrible still, but I mean Banks is still going to be an upgrade on Penning, and then we know McCoy is good at center. Ruiz, pretty solid right guard. Your receivers are fine. I think Kamara's getting a little slept on. I mean, Kellen Moore, if he feels like the quarterback isn't up to snuff, which he probably does feel like that. We saw what he did with the Eagles last year, just super run heavy as long as they could. Now, they won't be able to do it as much with New Orleans because they'll probably trail more, but Kamara could be used kind of like they use Saquon. He can catch the ball. He can still run it. So I think this team, and then on defense, yeah, they're old, but the guys they have in there for the most part are solid. I think corner is a big question mark that could derail them. But then again, it's like, okay, well, if we expect teams to just be able to build a lead on them and they're bad, then the corners, being bad is not going to be that much of a difference. So I think it's all kind of priced into the point where there's only upside at 4.5. I think, especially given the division,
over or nothing at 4.5.
Yeah, and given the division, like it's hard to make a great case for any of these other teams either in the division. So I think the Saints could be a little frisky. I could see them just being just kind of locked in with these other teams in this division. Them all kind of being within 1, 2, or 3 wins from each other. So yeah, I'm buying the Saints. All right, no surprises, folks. The NFL season kicks off in 2 weeks, and to get most out of the award-winning Action Network app, you're going to want an Action Pro subscription because only Pro subscribers are going to get real-time pick alerts from experts such as myself, Brandon Anderson, Stuckey, and our entire Action Network team. Plus, you can access our pro projections powered by my guy, Sean Kerner, the odds maker. A ton of other benefits as well. So to celebrate football's return, we have got a special offer. Just go to the Action Network app or go to actionnetwork.com/pro and you can get $20 off the annual price with promo code POD20. That's POD20. So don't miss out on the best bets at the best prices. Visit actionnetwork.com/pro and use promo code POD20 to get $20 off a year of Action Pro. All right, let's flip it to the NFC East. No one ever wins the NFC East 2 years in a row. What is it, going on 20, how many years now?
Yeah, 21 years now.
12, well, yeah, 21. Yeah,
21 years. 21st. And no one has won it in back-to-back years since.
Yeah. So the Giants and the Commanders are live. And or is it the Cowboys? I will say this. I do think the Commanders are best positioned because I think Jaden Daniels just can take it. I still think he can take it to another level compared to what he did last year because he was hurt in the middle of the year. And it all depends on if McLaurin is not out there with him, though. That hurts a lot. But
I told you we were doing this a while ago. I think McLaurin's gone.
Yeah, I know you think he's gone. I still don't. I cannot take these contract like trade demand serious. Like I know there's been a lot of trades, but I'm talking about these guys that are like, yeah, I want a new contract or like trade me. I just can't take these seriously until they happen. Like maybe it does, but assuming he's there, I think Washington's the team. I think the Eagles are, just the schedule's going to be tougher. I think, another offensive coordinator. They can take a defense gutted a little bit, still very talented, but I think Washington's in the best position. I do think that the Giants, now that we've seen that Dart, like
coming around on my Giants.
Yeah, no, only because the reason I say this is because I think Dart had to play well in the preseason, regardless of, I know it doesn't necessarily mean anything in terms of how he's going to play in the regular season, but just playing well enough that he will get a shot earlier because we know Russell Wilson is going to allow that opening at some point. We know that. So it was really just Dart needed to show enough that, it's New York, there's going to be fan pressure. Daboll likes him. So I think everything's kind of falling in place for the Giants to have one of those, what was it, 2022 when they won 11 games with Daniel Jones?
Yep.
Yeah. Like everything's falling in place. I think the defense can be good. Pass rush.
Defense should be really
good. Yeah, they can cover now.
I like the linebackers. I love Nubin. They had Holland, who I love.
Mm-hmm.
Their safeties are better. Adebo at corner raises your floor a little bit. Phillips is good in the nickel. The other corner spot with Banks is very questionable. But, the defense with this pressure and the improved secondary should be good. The offensive line, still bad, but it's better with a healthy Thomas. The weapons, still not great, but you got Neighbors. And the quarterback play will be better than last year, no matter what. No matter if it's Russ or Dart. Because last year it was a disaster. It was like DeVito and Locke and the Daniel Jones. It'll be better, even if it's Russ. So, and last year, the Giants were number one. They were extremely unlucky. They were bad, but they were 1-8 one-score games with just atrocious quarterback play. And they lost their left tackle, which was just a disastrous situation. That's probably one team that can't afford to lose their tackle the most is the Giants. And they upgraded their defense. They upgraded quarterback. So yeah, I think the Giants could surprise. I'm going to take a little flyer on them to win the division. I know it's crazy, but like 25-1.
Yeah, I don't mind that at all. I don't think it's crazy.
I project them close to 6. The reason is, even though I'm higher than the market, their schedule is insane. It's unfortunate. Their schedule is so hard.
Yeah.
There's no breaks. When do we see Dart? Can they survive this brutal schedule? I don't know. I think they're worth a flyer. I lean over on them. I kind of like the upside more than the win total because of how hard the schedule is, and then it could go to Dart, and you don't know. So like maybe the playoffs or division is where I'm going. I am low on the Eagles. I bet the Eagles under. I still have them power rated as one of the 5 best teams in the NFL, but I project them 10-7.
Mm-hmm.
So I went under 11.5 the last time we did that. Still like that. Even a little bit juiced. They lose Sweat, Slay, Williams, CJ Gardner-Johnson on the defense. They should take a step back, although it's Fangio year 2 is usually when there's a bump, and it was year 1 with a bump. But they're relying on more depth guys this year on defense. And they were extremely lucky last year and with injuries. And we're already seeing the injuries. Look at the offense, the offensive line, the wide receivers. They're already seeing injuries on that side of the ball. I'm curious to see how the secondary plays out. They really changed the trajectory of the team with finding those 2 corners. Their secondary was in rough shape, and then they drafted Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. I'm curious to see how it plays out. Like Makuba, who's now dealing with an injury, but could he win the job over Sidney Brown? It's possible. Fangio said the other day, not quite yet, but that's possible. Who gets the other corner spot? Like Fangio said, they're all like even. It could be even this kid McWilliams is in the mix. Bennett is in the mix. Ringo's in the mix. Jackson's in the mix. There's also a chance like DeJean could play outside at corner if someone emerges at the slot. So I'm curious to see how the safeties in the corner and how all that plays out. But Eagles still really good, but probably due for some aggression. They probably won't be playing from ahead the whole season. And I doubt there's no way that Barkley can have as good of a year as he did.
He had 472 touches when you include the postseason.
Insane.
If he gets hurt, that changes the offense a lot. I think now I do think they can survive passing more. But you mentioned it. Brown is banged up. Goddard was dealing with an injury. Smith was banged up earlier in the summer. Wilson, their number 4 guy, just got carted off. So he's going to be out for looks like the year. So they traded for Mechie. But yeah, this team without Barkley and his 11 scores from outside the red zone. It could be remember they were mid-season, even to the second half of the season, there were whispers about Jalen Hurts and like his ability to play quarterback. Yeah. That was last year.
It was bad all year until like the second half of the year. He's been very good in the playoffs, but this passing offense was not great. He's holding the ball too long. And so the offensive line even has injuries now. And if anyone gets hurt on that offensive line, it's bleak. You want Kenyon Green in there? That guard? No, you don't want that. I think that they're still one of the best teams in the NFL, but I think they're a little overpriced, and they could be due for some aggression in close games, injuries, which we're already seeing, and a much, much, much tougher schedule. Their schedule was a joke last year, and now it gets much tougher. You're talking games, like road games. Green Bay, Dallas, Chargers out west, Washington, Buffalo, Minnesota, Tampa, Kansas City. And by the way, the Giants and the Cowboys will be better this year. You don't get to play DeVito and whoever the Cowboys were trotting out there. Cooper Rush.
Isn't he on Baltimore? Where is he now?
The Ravens.
Yeah, he's
Lamar better stay healthy.
I know. I was about to say, man. Oof. They usually have a running guy. Why don't they have a running guy this year?
Talk about an offense changing. If
Jesus,
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know. It's Cooper Rush and Devin Leary is the.
Yeah, that's. I think they got maybe they pick somebody up.
Yeah, they probably would, but
Anthony Richardson.
oh god.
Imagine they finally get over the hump with Richardson flaccoing.
So, oh man, I mean, it would make the most sense if Lamar got hurt, but yeah. So I went under on Eagles and I went under on Commanders too. I know you like the Commanders.
Yeah.
I project them 8-8, so I'm much lower than the market. I went under 9.5. I mean, this team, they were injury free last year for the most part. I know Daniels is banged up. They faced a comically easy schedule filled with backup quarterbacks. They went 8-4 in one possession games. They were so elite in the red zone, the greatest fourth down team of all time. The schedule gets much harder. That defense I still don't like. Now, I like Daniels. He proved it to me, but what they need, how they can be proven wrong. McLaurin comes back. Debo's not washed. Lattimore's not washed. If those three things happen, this team has a higher ceiling, in my opinion. But I think they're a major regression candidate. But the schedule much tougher. Fourth down regression, injuries, the schedule. There's a lot of red flags here with the Commanders. So I'm selling. Even though I was wrong on Daniels, he might prove me wrong again. And then with the Cowboys, it's like, okay, I'm selling the Eagles. I'm selling the Commanders. Buy the Cowboys, right? Healthy dat. And I can't. No,
not buy the Cowboys, right? No, I think he's selling the Eagles and the Cowboys.
So
I would buy Washington and the Giants.
I do project the Cowboys 7-7, like over by like 0.1. But like, I don't like the hire. So let's start on the offense. Yeah, Dak is healthier.
Downgraded coach.
Yeah, downgraded coach.
And Dak wasn't great last year either.
Yeah, and now what's he get? Another injuries, another year older.
Best addition is a guy who could play himself off the team.
If off the locker room and Pickens. Like on paper, like it's okay. You got another weapon, a better weapon next to Lamb. But like Schottenheimer wants to run the ball, but like they're not going to. They don't have running backs. So
Miles Sanders, Javonte Williams, Jaden Blue, and Phil Maffa, and Hunter Lepke. Some combination of those guys are going to be active each week in the backfield.
So they're just going to come out and throw it a ton, but then that's not the strength of their offensive line. They drafted Booker. We'll see if he can be the guy, rookie at guard. Guyton injured, although I'm not even sure he's that great. Smith is good, but like I don't trust Schottenheimer. And then the defense is a mess.
Yeah,
like Parsons.
Now you got to worry about leadership too, because at least Parsons was like always kind of he spoke for everyone. But now who knows? Even if he's there, what is that? How does he kind of proceed?
Overshown, hurt. Diggs. What's going on with Diggs? That's another volatile situation. Your rookie corner had a setback that you wanted to. It's like you lost your nickelback Lewis, who was good for you. And then they were so bad in the red zone on both sides. They were hurt a lot. So there's some positive regression signs there. But I don't even think Eberflus fits with what the strengths of this defense and what Eberflus wants to do schematically. It's a big change there. I don't get the fit. The secondary is a mess. Parsons might get traded. Overshown. The D line is not. You lost Lawrence. Like what? I can't get there with the Cowboys, and it's such a volatile situation. So yeah, I'm close to market. I'm not selling the Cowboys, but I'm not buying them. I thought I would be like, all right, it's gonna be Cowboys to win the division. No, I think I'm gonna be the insane person that has a flyer on the Giants 25-1 to win the NFC East.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even hate it. And I think for me, and for people listening, I mean, it depends whether you agree with Stuckey or I on Commanders versus Cowboys. But I think the key is the Giants are just way underpriced. I don't think that should push you off of Washington if you like Washington. So, for example, it's hard to click Giants 22-1 and then come back and also bet Washington at like plus 220 or something, like 10, like 10x less. But I think Washington's still set up really well. I think Debo, the key with him, you got to watch him in camp, and he did look better.
He did.
It's about his weight, and I know last year he was He was dealing with pneumonia, but he's never been a guy that's going to beat coverage. So I still agree that like if McLaurin's not in there, it does get worrisome. But Debo, it's more about like he was never a guy that was going to like beat coverage, but it's all about just his speed and scheme. And then the fact that Robinson had a good year for them, and now he's on the trade block. That running.
Where are you on this Merritt love? That's all I see on Twitter.
I think I have him like third. I moved him up into the low 30s. I think. Listen, Chris Rodriguez has been on this team for years. I know he got the first reps, but I think the reason, if you're trying to trade Robinson to the point where you're sitting him out and it's public and all that, the one concrete change in the backfield is Krosky Merritt, being there. So I think ultimately, whether it's week 1 or week 5, like he's going to be the guy if Robinson is traded, which it sounds like it will. So I think he's good. I've been kind of monitoring him all summer, and he's had a great camp. I did think I don't like when these teams have these backs, like a Pacheco, for example, like that they're somewhat hesitant to use in the receiving game. Because usually what happens is it's either a tell or they try to like reverse tendency. And when you're just calling a play to reverse tendency, I don't think that's good either. So I like what Washington's doing. I think Washington got a lot smarter over these last couple of years, like Dan Quinn now in Cliff, and you got Daniels. I think this team, and I like Lane as at wide receiver. I think they'll be okay if McLaurin comes back. Ertz is still going to give them something at tight end. They got Sinat waiting in the wings, and Bates good blocker. Like, I think the team is just solid all over. I like the shots they're taking on defense. Yes, there's some older guys, but think about where the defense was. And then the fact that you got Jaden Daniels setting records for in the offense, setting records on fourth downs and all that kind of stuff. Yes, there'll be some regression, but the fact that they're setting records in a quarterback's rookie year that was hurt in the middle of it too, to me that also weighs in, where it's like, okay, I don't want to rule out like this is the next, I don't want to say Lamar Jackson, but this is the next elite quarterback. It's not going to matter what's going on around him, and that could very well be the case.
It also could be a Stroud situation. We don't necessarily know.
Yeah, no, that's very fair. That is very fair. That is the downside, but I think with the Eagles being priced where they are, that's what gives me that's why I like Washington. You're still getting them better than 2-1, whereas with Stroud it was like they were installed as the favorite his second year. So I still like Washington. I think it's harder to. I'm just saying psychologically, the Giants it's going to be easy if you click them first. So maybe. If you do want to fade the Eagles with a more realistic team, make your pick with the Cowboys or Commanders first. I favor Washington. You favor the Cowboys, but then click on the Giants, because if you do it the other way around, I think it's just going to be so. It's going, oh yeah, this sucks.
Right,
okay.
Summary.
Yeah, what you got?
NFC South. I lean Panthers under, lean Saints over. Not sure I'll get there. I want to fade the Bucks, but I'm pretty close to market. I think I'll do that by betting the Falcons to win the division at better than 2-1. NFC East, I'm fading the Eagles and Commanders. Got both unders there. And then little couch change lottery ticket on the Giants to win the division.
Yeah, like the Giants to win the division. 20 or 1 or more, which is still seems to be out there across the market. Also, like the Commanders to win the division. Those are the long shot is the Giants. The most realistic to take advantage if the Eagles struggle is the Commanders. Eagles, I lean under for them, and then in the NFC South, I think it's Saints over. I lean Panthers under, but I want to see where the market ends up. That's when I'm not in any rush to bet, because the fact that they were at 7.5 at one point, and this division is weak. I mean, I think things could kind of fluctuate still, but I agree. I think the Falcons are still the best division pick, but I'm hesitant to fade the Bucks too, because I do think their GM goes under the radar, and I do think you could look at
gotta give him credit.
Yeah, you could look at the offense. It really comes down to Cone, and I'd rather just bet on the Jaguars where I'm getting good prices on Cone being good than fade the Bucks. Like that's how I think it's better. If you're going to tie up your money, I think it's better spent, just betting on the Jags at plus 300 than just, trying to back the Bucs at even money or whatever they are. All right, that's going to do it for today's episode of the Action Network podcast. Chris Raybon and Stuckey here. Thanks for tuning in. Keep an eye out for our second NFC preview episode where we go over the NFC North and the NFC West. Our AFC episodes already live, so be sure to check those out and subscribe. You can find Stuck on X at Stuckey2. I'm at Chris Raybon, and we're at those same handles on the free award-winning Action Network app. Until part 2, let's get this money.
Let go.